Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome to the Brandon Lunch Bunch. We're a group of business owners and professionals in Central Florida, and we're getting together to share tips and ideas on doing business in these stay-at-home COVID times. Online meeting services provided by A Better Choice Network Solutions. Brandon Lunch Bunch is a production of Pacesetter Media.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the November 2020 Brandon Lunch Bunch. My name is Dave Lobig. I'm going to be talking today about lighting. Once again, it's been my theme for the past few months. And with us today is Darren Dennington. Darren, welcome.
Hey, Dave, how are you today? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you can make it. What's your topic this month?
So today we're going to talk a little bit about moving forward, right? Some forecasting and thinking back a little bit to what we've learned and kind of how you've been pivoting and your business has changed. So let's hit the pause button, take a minute, and start doing a little planning to go forward for next year.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll be going first. Then we'll get you on. I'll be less than 5 minutes here. And I would just want to show some lighting tips. Last month I said to fix lighting, you have to physically change your space. That was the general theme of it. And I just want to show you some tips or some examples of one light lighting. And this I did months ago. You're going to see, look at my background right now. It's this dark background. And that's what it was back in March. And so if I give you any tip, a darker background, you stand out against it better, as I do in my current video. But here's the lighting, though. And as simple as it is, it's one light bouncing off the wall in front of me. And notice it's a big, broad light source, because actually the light source is the entire size of the wall, right? It's not a small light source, just a bulb. Since it's bouncing, it's a very big light source that's hitting me. That makes for, generally speaking, good lighting. The artistic photographer might play with lighting beyond this, but for general purposes, this is tip one for most people. Big light source, bounce it off the wall in front of you. Excuse me. The drawing I have has the subject far from the wall. Even if you were close right up against the wall, you can still bounce a light off the wall in front of you. So try bouncing a light off the wall in front of you. That gives a big, broad light source. Another choice is bouncing the wall off the ceiling in front of you. In fact, that's what I have right now, two big lights in front of me. The example here in this picture is one light bouncing off the wall. Again, a pretty good light source. It's a big, broad light source that just lights somebody well, especially older people with wrinkles and sags and stuff like that. This tends to hide some of those shadows a little bit. And here starts to become a problem. The light source right overhead. So I'm bouncing it off the ceiling, but it's right above me, causing more shadows on the face. For young, good-looking people, this could be a good light, a way of light. For most people, and my general advice, don't do this. Try to get to this or this. A light bouncing off the wall in front of you or off the ceiling towards your front, not right above you. And that's what you start to get with right above you. And here is the light source right to my front, but pretty close. It ends up being pretty harsh light because, relatively speaking, the light source is smaller relative to my size. It's closer. It's just a smaller light source. So it makes for sharper shadows. And here is close and high. Again, it's a smaller light source. Higher creates more shadows. And finally, far and direct. It kind of looks a little better. It is sharper shadows. Again, as that light source gets further away, it's relatively smaller compared to me, makes sharper shadows. Generally, that's a bad thing. And I do mean generally. Again, some people this will look great on. For the most part, I would suggest not doing that. This, by the way, is the light I used. It's a Westcott light. I think they're about $100 for two of them. You don't even need this, though. If you're going to bounce off the wall, you can go to Home Depot or somewhere and get a shop light or two, and good bright shop light, and bounce them off the wall in front of you. But it's a light like this that is directional. That's what's most important. If you're going to bounce it off the wall or bounce off the ceiling, you don't want light spilling onto you. You want it coming just from the wall and just from the ceiling. And that's my tip for this month, some ideas on how to get better lighting. I just want to show you the ones at the beginning again, just to say what I think are the better ones. Bouncing the light off the wall in front of you, whether you're close up against the wall or far from the wall, makes for a big light source, generally better for most people. I would suggest to everybody start with this. And then if you want to play with any fancy stuff, start playing, control your light source, get it to this point first. And that's my tip for this month. Yes, thank you for coming back, Darren.
Of course.
Yes, off to you.
Well, I'd like to talk to everybody today about moving their business forward. We all know it's been a very rough, a strange year for businesses. And November, for me personally, is usually the time that I start thinking about budgeting and next year and where's the business going. My name is Darren Dennington from Service with Style, Secret Shopping and Consulting. We work with a lot of restaurants that are in a very strange place right now. Sitting down to do a budget usually means you know exactly where your consistent sales were from the previous year, and you take those and you move forward. Well, the budgeting process is completely different. So here's what I would like every business to do right now is hit the pause button from operations and get your leadership group together and sit down and have a year-end recap / planning meeting for next year. And you talk to the key people in your organization about what you've done this year, right? We've all pivoted and redirected our businesses. Well, what worked and what didn't? If you take a little time and put this topic of moving forward to the leadership team, we're going to talk about the failures from this year, and that's fine. And we're going to learn and grow from those. And then you naturally progress the conversation to what does next year look like? A lot of the companies we've worked with have changed their concepts, right? Restaurants have went from full service to just dine out or just third-party deliver. Some have opened up patios and others have went to counter service. What worked? What hasn't? And you take the consistent pieces that have worked for your financials and for your operations, and you work on those to get better and better. What you're going to need to do is take a look at your revenue sources for next year, because we don't know where we're going with the virus. Yes, there's positive news, but today it's still pretty rough. And we're now 8 or maybe even 9 months into this and trying to figure out what genuinely works for our customers. So when you start planning for next year, I want you to look at your budget, which means you have to look back and then you have to forecast for next year. I want you to look at your model, what worked and what didn't for operations and financials. I want you to look at your customers. What have they enjoyed this year? How have they frequented your business? What has worked for your customers? And do all this in one brainstorming session with your leadership group. And every good meeting that you have, every single one has to get to an action list, right? If you have your priorities and your agenda going into the meeting, then you can easily outline the actionable steps coming out of it. And I would put together this as your new priority, right? Call it moving forward. What does 2021 look like for your business? And create your priorities. Get together on one page with your management team so you know what you're working on. And that means planning, and that means discussing what worked and what didn't. So I hope 2021 can really move forward, but there's still so much turbulence out there that we just don't understand. So talk about it, plan it, forecast it, budget it. And here's to a better year next year.
Thank you, sir.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, yes. And that's where everybody's looking now, is finish up 2020 and see what 2021 brings us and get ready for it. Thanks.
No problem. It's that time of year, right? As I look forward, typically we plan our year around food shows and marketing, and I just don't know what are taking place next year. So we've got to redo every aspect of our business.
Yep. I think everybody's in that boat. Thanks.
No problem.
And I do want to finish up with just my final tip again. Everybody's working at home. Be sure to get up and get some exercise, get out, walk around the block, get up and stretch, go on YouTube, find some exercise videos. Make sure you stay active. It's easy to sit at the computer for way too long and lose some of that fitness. So make sure you stay active. And our next Brandon Lunch Bunch is Thursday, December 10th at 11 a.m. See you then. Thank you.